Hi, everyone. Are you ready for the back to school guide? My name is Bren Harris. I founded Warrior Moms by Bren when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. We have walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place, and you can too. Because your story matters. Hear me. Your story matters, and other people need to hear it. We're doing a back to school guide because when we have super kids that don't fit into the bell curve for the traditional education path, we don't have the option to have a 9 to 5 or a W-2 or a cushy office job. Hey guys, good to see you. Let us know where you're chiming in from. Our calling is a little bit more challenging and way more rewarding. And the reason we're doing a back to school guide is because I help aspiring entrepreneur moms that are feeling burned out, ignored, and overwhelmed reclaim freedom, clarity, and power so that we can walk in purpose and champion our calling together. Because together we're stronger. It's more than a Hallmark card. I am a firm believer that success does not happen in a vacuum. Great to see you guys. Let us know where you're chiming in from. Ooh, Dubai in the house. Great to see you in Florida and Seattle. Oh, if you are listening to this on the replay or an audio, know that we do a lot of American Sign Language. That's how my son learns new words. And you can just Google these, and we're going to do a quick recap. This is Back to School Part 3, and we started with the preparation for school ourselves in a situation where we really liked the teacher. It was just no longer a good fit for my son. And when you've met one person on the autism spectrum or diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, we usually call that ASD, you've met one person. It's no one size fits all, guys. And it's really important to know that. Hey, Georgia in the house. Great to see you guys. It's okay to know this may not be for you, but I promise you, you know someone who can benefit from this. As of this recording, August 2024, boys are diagnosed 1 in 36. That means 1 in 36. And that is that is incredibly high. And I want you to understand there's no one answer or no one size fits all. Okay. Just making that point clear. Hey guys, good to see you. Welcome. And if you have questions, just put it in the chat. And we're going to recap real quick. When we're prepping for school starts full tilt this week here in the Heartland. And just a fun, weird fact, if you throw a dart at the United States, we're right in the middle. And we were about 15 degrees hotter than the Sahara Desert this week. It has been brutal. So I hope you have a fan and some AC going. One of our first words that we talk about is when we're prepping for something, especially for our children to go to school, we're going to pray. And this is a simple sign. I'm trying not to knock over the mic here. Pray. We're going to pray. And the second thing we do is we plan. Very simple. And I think that probably needs to go left to right. Okay. Plan. We're going to pray, then we're going to plan. I am a crazy planner geek. I love Planner Piece. I chase it all the time. Currently using Full Focus by Michael Hyatt. And I love the A5 from the Pebbled Taupe. Yeah, we'll talk more about that. And that is my favorite size, the 6-ring binder. It is my love language. And then we're going to pray, we're going to plan, and then we're going to connect. Connect your fingers like this and just push it forward. Connect. And then we're talking about safety. For my son, who is a teen diagnosed on the autism spectrum, he might be really tall and look really grown up. He's a man-child, and he does have a nonverbal diagnosis, and he can't come home and tell me what's happening in a classroom. And we have had several incidences of abuse and neglect. And that's why I'm such a passionate advocate that we have a safe place to learn. I chimed in on a message in one of our autism moms groups this week. A child absolutely destroyed the classroom. I'm promising you, he probably had a snide comment from the teacher because she didn't know how to relate to him or connect. And he possibly got red 40. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things that we do to prevent food allergy exposure, as well as sort of a fun meme about being a special needs mom. Now, last week we talked about teach. We're not here to say, do it this way, do it our way, or get lost. We're saying, hey, we have walked through hell. Let us help you avoid some of those pitfalls. We're here to teach and to heal. Take your fingers right at your almost like you're adjusting the bill of the cap at your forehead. Teach, and then to heal. Take your hands to your shoulders and bring them forward. Heal. Now, we have been medically injured. So for that sign, we're just acting like we're giving ourselves a shot. Medically injured. And that's really important. Now, I'm here to tell you, hear me, mamas, ditch the mom guilt. We're making the best decisions we can with what we have. Hey, guys, good to see you. Let us know where you're chiming in from. And if you're on the live, put an L. If you're on the replay, put an R. And we have several different programs launched online tonight. So I am dividing my time between each. And tonight we're talking advocate. Remember the show, friends? Okay. Advocate, Ross and his silly little sign, and then clarity. And for me, clarity is really, and we're going to do a little sort of an acrostic, probably an acronym. So we have CLARITY. Now we'll get to that in just a moment. Just a few fun facts from last week's episode, and please check out the other episodes because they are way, way more detailed. We walked up to the school when my son, 3 years ago, when he was entering 7th grade, and they told us that he could not enter the building because he had not had X, Y, and Z vaccine. I politely, but forcefully, passionately told this teacher that was new, we have an exemption on file. All 50 states in the U.S. have certificates of exemptions for vaccines on file. And you just simply fill it out and turn it in. Now, I encourage every parent, new or seasoned, to do at-home genetic, simple Q-tip swab on the inside of your cheek. You send it off in about 7 days. You have all the data. For us, it's a genetic double gene mutation for MTHFR, which is a 57-letter word, medical term, saying he has an inability to convert folic acid, which is man-made, into folate. We take L-methylfolate as our supplement because today's food is owned by the tobacco companies. That's why we have so many food allergies these days. Now, we have severe food allergies. We are gluten-free. Take what you like, leave the rest. We've been doing this almost a decade. It has been miraculous. It has really changed our lives. And I was not going to have my son do it without me. Because if I'm expecting a child, he was probably 3 or 4, to go gluten-free, I'm not going to eat gluten in front of him. Wheat is the enemy. Here in the States, we use a pesticide called glyphosate. That's Roundup, all the cancer lawsuits. Yep, same one. And it is carcinogenic. And that's, we lived overseas for 3 years. I could eat all the gluten and wheat I wanted because they didn't use that same pesticide. All right, so we have pray, plan. I'm trying to do that left to right. Plan and connect and safe. We want a safe environment for our super kids to learn and grow and thrive, not just survive, but thrive. And we have kissed more frogs than princes in the, metaphorically speaking, of course, in the education space ever. Oh my goodness, ever. Now, if you're getting value, please put value in the comments. If you are listening to this on the audio later, I want you to just, you're driving in your car, say value, because you are valuable and you are here for such a time as this. I have found that I know when I am arriving and talking with school officials from a position of strength, as opposed to emotionalism, because when our emotions go up, our IQ seems to go down, especially as mama bears. Being a warrior mom means we're not letting our emotions get the best of us. We're presenting our facts and we are relating to everyone. We're building those relationships. Don't build just one relationship. The teacher is frontline, or the TA, or the assistant. That's frontline. That's boots on the ground. Now go 3 layers up. All right. When you're building these relationships and connecting for our back to school guide for children. Now, if you have a wonderful neurotypical NT child and they're the star quarterback, great. This is probably not for you, but someone this might work for. We are here to say, get in where you fit in. Just because someone says someone's a great teacher doesn't mean they're the right fit for your student or your child. Now, I know that being right in the middle of the United States, where it's warmer than the Sahara Desert, that this has been kind of a challenge because, I mean, oh my gosh, who wants to be out there? You could fry an egg on our front porch. And we are here to say, all right, what are our options? And I'm a real fan of saying back up, shut up, pray up. Find your higher power that works for you, and let's run this race and stay in our own lane. Co-parenting with someone when there's a special needs child involved is impossible in the natural. It requires strength from a higher power because opposites attract when we get married, right? Opposites attract when we decide to become parents. And our parenting styles are very different. And I have really dragged my feet on talking about this because his dad is military. And the military, you don't ask questions, you get in line and you take all the vaccines and don't ask questions. All right. So we do have a really good family, side note, that stood in line right before the Gulf War, got all the vaccines, was getting ready to deploy to the Gulf, was injured in a training accident, could not be deployed, and ended up with Gulf War syndrome. That's a sign, people. Okay. Now, we have 3 types of people that we're dealing with. The frontline people, and their boss and their boss's boss, and then the decision makers. When you're sending anything to a school, when you have a super kid that is not in the bell curve, put it in writing. If you don't put it in writing, it didn't happen. It does not matter what anyone tells you or promises you in a conversation. Know that it needs to be in writing. You need to track it or it never happened. Think human resources. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. Yeah, I know. And this is a little bit out there. I get it. We've been at this for over 10 years, and I have learned some really hard-fought lessons. And why do I talk about back to school when I help aspiring moms become entrepreneurs? Well, because we are not able to have 9-to-5 jobs. I would not want one, but it became very clear. We have speech therapy, we have occupational therapy, we have physical therapy, we have autism therapy, we have school, we have extracurriculars. It's impossible to be a W-2 parent and serve your child the way we're called to when we're called for such a time as this. Now, keep in mind, this may not be for you. Take what you like, leave the rest. Speaking of the, they call it NVAC or VICP, National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. As of this month, August 2024, almost 28,000 people have been compensated from this National Vaccine Injury Compensation Plan. Now, for short, they call it VICP or VICP, and they have awarded $5 billion with a B. We're going to do a little sign language here. With a B, $5 billion in compensation that covers attorneys and administration and awards to these families. Now, why was this fund created? Because in the 80s, there were several high-profile cases where families sued the drug manufacturers of all the vaccines and won huge settlements. So the administration at that time came up with the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Plan. And that's where people who are injured by vaccines go through this years-long process to be compensated for that injury. Now, injuries can vary. And there's a lot of information on that site. I really encourage you to go look at that and check out the other podcasts because they're way more detailed. Now, when we're talking about being an advocate, I never dreamt in a million years this would be my mantra word as a special needs parent. Advocate, just like that. Think Ross and Friends. Okay. Advocate. It means fighting the good fight. Here at Warrior Moms by Bren, specifically because my son has a diagnosis of being nonverbal and on the autism spectrum, we say we are a voice for the voiceless. We're here to be a voice for the voiceless. Now, right when your child is diagnosed and you're facing public school system, we moved to this school district because it was the highest rated in the state, not if your child falls outside that bell curve. And our state was just ranked out of all 50 states next to dead last in public education. So you know where I'm coming from. It's an uphill battle, and warrior moms put on their armor every single day. And shout out to everyone who is making a huge difference. We have clarity when we're advocating from clarity. So we're going to be an advocate from a position of clarity and strength. When our emotions go up, our IQ goes down, okay? Now, clarity, we're going to do C for certain, from a position of certainty. That's how we approach this back to school guide. And lucid, L for lucid. Lucid, certainty is going to be zero doubt. Zero doubt that our child is entitled to these federal funds through an individual education plan and or a 504 in the least restrictive environment, LRE. I know, a lot of acronyms. Come back and watch the replay. And then L for lucid, which is easy to understand. And then A for accurate. Accurate is exact. When we walk into a meeting, I always bring my advocate support team. For years, that was an attorney. Yes, we had to keep an attorney on retainer for our child's individual education plan. That tells you the state of education in our country. Every state in the U.S. has a parent help center. And a lot of people don't know about this, so I just printed a few things off. This is from the advocacyinstitute.org, so write that down so you can go back and circle back. It shows as of June of 2024, there are various states that they get a rating system under IDEA. I just call it IDEA. It's Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And in 2024, only 7 states showed improvement. We have 5 states. Ratings improved for 5 states: Georgia, Maryland, Texas, Virginia, and Micronesia. I didn't know that were included in this. And ratings dropped for 6 states under this Individuals with Disabilities Education: Arkansas, Idaho, Ohio, Rhode Island, South Dakota, and West Virginia. And then 6 states received a meets requirement ratings for the last 11 years. And that was Kansas, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Missouri, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Notice Oklahoma is not in there at all. And most of the states in yellow are the ones that are failing to meet the requirements. I'm going to see if I can hold this up. And you can see that most of the states in yellow, that means the legend says they're just status quo. Okay. And then I'm a firm believer that when we advocate with clarity, we are stepping into our CEO mindset. And for me, that stands for communication, empowerment, and overcoming. These teachers are decorating their rooms out of their own pocket, from their own money, spending hours they don't get paid for. Being on salary means you're pretty much an indentured servant. You're not getting hourly or overtime. And we don't want to stress that boots on the ground frontline system. Our mission here at Warrior Moms by Bren is to empower them, communicate with the teachers. Empower them to make better decisions regarding your child's needs because you're the expert on your child. And then overcome any confirmation bias. Like, oh, it's that mom again. No, I'm here to be a change agent, not to be a pain in your backside. I'm trying to be respectful. It's a mixed audience here. And right now, today on August 20th, we have 12 days until the fourth quarter. And you guys, the holidays happen and life gets away from us. School is just starting. Our super kids are completely overwhelmed. Now we have 4 super moons, August, September, October, November, right in a row. Now, if a full moon can affect menstrual cycles for women and the tide of the ocean, it affects our sensory super kids because they're so sensitive to the change in the atmosphere. And if you know anybody in the medical field, they say the ER is nuts when there's a supermoon. Yeah. And we have had a week because we're building up, and the supermoon was yesterday. Today, my son's a different child. He's calm. He's not agitated. He's using his words. These atmospheric influences are real. We're not talking woo-woo. We're talking real scientific data. Also track solar flares. Now, if you have a child that is having trouble in a brick and mortar school, I want to encourage you to look at the advocacyinstitute.org. And I want to get this right. I'm not trying to drag this out. From the IDEA, the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, on their site, they have an ask and resource page, and parentcenterhub.org, 100 parent centers that will support you through this process and walk with you. At least one. Obviously, there's more in larger states like Texas. They have advocacy teams that will walk through the individual education plan and special education plan for your child. Now, 504 is typically medical. We have a relative that has seizures. She's going into high school, has a service dog, and the 504 requires her teachers to be aware and pay attention to what the service dog does so that they can detect the seizures and give her medication. For us, we have medical markers on his individual education plan. I don't know if you can read that. This is a giant letter size thing that goes on his backpack, and it is the same thing. Allergy alert, artificial color, soaps, markers, etc. Gluten, no food or drink except what is sent from home. I don't care if the whole class is having cupcakes. Your responsibility is to let me know ahead of time so I can send kosher cupcakes for my child. And this is really important. CEO, communicate, empower, and overcome. Now, we are here to say we don't have all the answers. We just know what works for us. So please take what you like and leave the rest. We're going to pray. We're going to plan. We're going to connect. And then we're going to have safety in the classroom and school. And we're going to build that network. I've often heard your network is your net worth. That is so true, especially in academia. We need to go in to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And know that you have rights. You have a certificate of exemption for medical reasons on any and all vaccines in all 50 states. Go to your state's health department website and download that and get that on file. Now, back to our story. 3 years ago, we walk in, at 7th grade, we're walking into school, and they're like, he can't come in. Your son is missing these vaccines. And they made a whole list. And I said, we have a certificate of exemption on file. Would you like for me to get my attorney on the phone? And I just pulled out my phone and hit speed dial. And they let him in because it's illegal for them to deny public education. Now, private schools are different, whole different ballgame. We'll talk about those in a separate episode. It's important to know your rights because the frontline, boots on the ground people with schools and children that are not neurotypical and fall outside that bell curve. It's just, he said, she said, it rolls down from the top and crap just rolls and it just gets embellished along the way. They don't know that they're breaking the law. They are just misinformed, and we are here to educate and empower. I hope this helped you and that you can advocate from a position of clarity and know that you are on the right track. I don't have all the answers, just enough light for the step I'm on. Please remember to be authentic, legendary, and unapologetically you. Warriors, unite.